How would you like to live in a house with no electric bills? No air conditioning, no heating ducts, and still be perfectly comfortable in the coldest winter or the hottest summer? Sounds crazy? Well, hey, listen, I was from Missouri too, but I tell you, these tires are one of America's great resources. Let me show you what I mean.
How often do you change your tires? Well, most people change them every few years. Now, that doesn't seem like much, but that one little thing that you do is repeated by millions of people every year in this country alone. And that creates a huge ecological problem. In fact, there are dumps all across the country where thousands of acres of tires have been piling up, some of which catch fire and burn out of control for years, releasing toxic gases and chemicals into the environment. And until recently, no one has come up with a realistic way to recycle these polluters.
What I'm about to show you is innovative. It certainly is different. It takes a problem and makes it an asset. Now, what you see here is the first room of a 6,000 square foot luxury home. It's my dream home. It'll be totally powered and heated with solar energy, completely self-contained and in harmony with the natural order of things. Oh yes, in case you didn't notice, the basic structural materials for this house, which will be built into this whole hillside, are cans and used automobile tires, and you get the tires for free. Morning, Bob.
Good morning, Dennis.
This is it, huh?
Yeah, tomorrow's the big day.
You know, I think flipping that den with the bunk room was a pretty good idea, don't you? Well, let's go see what they're doing topside.
Yeah, let's go.
How about the founders? You got those all set?
Yeah, they'll be here Monday morning.
Let's stay up tomorrow. Morning.
Morning.
So how's it going?
Good.
Oh, so far so good.
Is it going to be enough?
Well, there's 1,500 tires here.
How many we need?
2,500 total.
1,000 more?
Uh-huh.
You going to have any trouble getting 1,000 more?
Can't give these things away fast enough. That's it for this load.
So how far do I have to go back, Michael?
Right on this line and down about
This
2
has
inches.
got to be right because everything depends upon where this tire is put. I got to tell you, when we broke ground, it was one of the most exciting days of my life. Good enough to test. Now the idea is that we put some dirt in there. Ram the dirt in, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I was the one that cleared the ground for the first, the groundbreaking. Somebody else can pound the dirt in. Okay?
No, Dennis, you have to pound first tire.
Okay.
Recycling tires as a building material for my home is the brainstorm of architect Michael Reynolds. Since the 70s, Michael has built over 25 homes from all kinds of recycled materials, bottles, cans, and tires.
We want to relate to...
So this house will be the realization of over 18 years of research and development. As we pounded more and more tires and the walls went up, the house really started to take shape, and I found myself wanting to be involved as much as possible. It was a real labor of love.
Ready for some more dirt?
Couple more. Would you believe that I just packed almost 3 wheelbarrows full of dirt into this tire? So what we got here is a 300-pound brick, and we use them to build the walls of the house. And we stack them just like regular bricks, except with these bricks, they're so big and heavy that we don't need cement. Gravity holds them in place. Now, look what happens to these tires when I pack them with dirt. They bulge, which locks them together, creating a virtually indestructible wall. That might sound crazy to you. Well, I got to tell you, it sounded a little crazy to Tom Grippentrog, our county engineer, too.
Talk.
Hi, Tom.
Max, how are you?
So he came out to see for himself and ask a few questions.
Michael Reynolds, he's our architect.
Michael, one of the big questions I have concerning this kind of a structure would be the lateral stability of the walls. Have you made any type of an analysis to determine that strength?
We have done no tests other than the buildings themselves. All of our tests have been in the buildings themselves. We've done a lot of actual experimental buildings. And anytime the wall is laid in a way that it's going to be retaining earth, it's either got an arc, or if it's on a straight wall going north-south like these, we tie it into our beam load, and its weight and the fact that it's tied in at the top is an integral part of our reaction to what we're supposing is going to be an earth load.
To build the roof, we start by cementing in anchor bolts into every third tire on the top of the wall. And then we attach a top plate that finishes off the wall structure and gets it ready for the vigas. Now, the vigas, or beams, are attached to the top plate, and they provide the support for the roof and tie the walls together into one complete unit to make an incredibly strong building. That needs to come up just a little bit on that side.
Yep.
You know, we're going to have over 2,400 tires in this house, and we're going to have all the walls up in a little over a month. And that's with a crew that really has no special building skills that Michael has trained in just a few hours.
How's that look?
Perfect. If I can learn it, anybody can. That's what I like about this process. It's so easy. Now remember, we get these tires for free. That means that we can build anything from low-cost housing to shelters for the homeless to this 6,000 square foot luxury home. I'm gonna use that shovel this time. You swing that sledge.
Well, you're not tired, are you?
Come on, guys. Pound those tires. Got to get the roof on before the snow comes. By the time the last tire was pounded, we'd actually used over 3,000 of them. Now it was time to finish the roof, so we could start putting the mud on the walls. Are you wondering if I'm really going to live in a house made out of tires? I can hardly wait. This is a mixture of mud, sand, and straw. And all you have to do is just slap it on and smooth it out. And this tire wall
with the cans make a perfect surface for the adobe to adhere to. You don't need chicken wire or anything. These are the walls of my bedroom. Now, I know they don't look like very much right now, but when we're done, they're going to be beautiful, soft adobe finish, and you can paint them any color you want to.
Now, the walls are partly an earth cliff, which we carefully carve away. Then we adobe the entire wall right down to the floor. What could be simpler? And as you see, the electrical wires laced between the tires, and you mud right over it. And these cans here? Well, they're simply used to help fill in gaps between the tires or any empty space around the vigas. But that's not the only way we use cans. We build other walls by stacking cans just like bricks. Now, we're not counting on the cans for strength. They're simply a form for the concrete, and if you could pull the cans out once the wall was dry, you'd be left with an extremely strong, light concrete matrix. Now, the hole in the end of the can becomes the lath that holds the adobe on. You see, cans make it simple to build a strong wall in any shape you want. You know, we're building this house to demonstrate that you really don't have to give up your conveniences and your luxuries to make a direct impact upon the environment. Now, I know that everybody can't build a tire house, but just as small problems lead to big problems, so small solutions lead to big solutions. And one of our most pressing environmental problems is global warming. And everybody can be part of that solution. Global warming, or the greenhouse effect, is caused by excessive carbon dioxide building up in our atmosphere. Now, this mostly comes from the burning of fossil fuels like coal, oil, and gas. But it also comes from deforestation. As a matter of fact, in the last 10 years, just the increase in deforestation alone has accounted for 20% of the increase in the carbon dioxide. Dr. Charles Keeling has been studying carbon dioxide in the air for over 30 years. So I asked him to explain the greenhouse effect.
So now we got over 30 years of records at both places, and it says that carbon dioxide is going up every year. The effect of putting carbon dioxide into the atmosphere is that it acts like an invisible blanket and takes the heat which is escaping from the Earth back to space and traps it and sends some of it back down. This trapping effect is greater the greater the amount of carbon dioxide. It's not in doubt at all that the radiation and the heat balance is affected by this blanket of CO2, and that if you add CO2, you must increase this blanket. The reason they can't calculate the temperature increase is because other things take place as well. One is that the oceans are such a large body of water, and they have such ability to absorb heat, that it's almost for sure that the greenhouse effect, whatever it is being delayed, because the oceans have to catch up with the heating effect that's going on in the atmosphere. One can say that we are not reached the point of no return yet. If we do something in the next 10 years to change the way we regard our resources, we have time to make things a lot better than we probably will if we just go ahead as we are now and use everything up as fast as we can and not worry about the consequences.
We simply can't gamble with the future of our Earth. Even now, they don't really know what kind of damage the greenhouse effect will have upon our planet. A lot of people ask me, well, what can I do as an individual? What can I do? Well, we can ask ourselves one simple question. what am I doing to conserve energy? Because it is the energy that we use that creates the gases that warm the planet. And there's lots of ways that we can conserve energy. For instance, did you know that standard windows are real power guzzlers? As a matter of fact, experts tell us that we waste more energy through the use of badly designed windows than we gain through all of the oil that flows through the Alaska pipeline. Imagine that. Now, these windows are designed as giant solar collectors as part of a passive solar heating system. But actually, they're just double pane glass that anybody can buy and install in their own home. Now, you remember those old tires packed with dirt out of which we made the walls? Well, here's where they really go to work.
In the summer, when the sun is high in the sky, the windows help keep the sun's heat out of the house. Now, the tires in the walls are so densely packed, they absorb excess heat from the house and keep the rooms cool. But in the winter, when the sun is low, the windows let the sun in, which charges the tires with heat, and like a giant thermal battery, the energy stored in these walls will keep the house a nice, comfortable temperature the year round, during the coldest winter nights or the warmest summer days. And the same basic passive solar principle is used for our hot water. Water circulates through these solar collectors where it gets heated by the sun to about 105 degrees. The preheated water then feeds regular water heaters. This uses a fraction of the energy it would normally take for hot water. And as we use the water, it is not needlessly thrown out with our sewage. Anything that we put down the drain, we make sure is environmentally friendly and biodegradable. This makes what we call gray water, which is clean enough to be used to irrigate the surrounding grounds. Now, these types of systems could be used in any house. Well, winter finally came, and so did the snow. But we kept right on working, and even though it was cold outside, inside we were working in t-shirts. And when we finally started putting on the finishing touches, hey, listen, I knew we really had something special. We call this house an Earthship, because like a ship, it tends to take care of you. Keeps you warm in the winter, cool in the summer, and we can grow our own food all year round right inside the house. Pretty nice, huh? Well,
The real beauty of this is that all this light, all the electricity in this house comes from a clean source of energy that doesn't create greenhouse gases by burning fossil fuel. And it doesn't pollute the environment with nuclear waste. It comes from the sun. That's right, the sun. Now, you might ask, well, how do you get all this juice at night when there's no sun? Good question. Let me show you. We installed solar cells to collect energy from the sun and turn it into electricity. They were mounted so that they could move with the angle of the sun for maximum efficiency. The electricity from the panels is then stored in batteries, so we have power even when the sun's not shining. The batteries are connected to the electrical system in the house, which allows us to use our lights and appliances just like you. This whole process of converting sunlight into electricity is called photovoltaics. And if we all took advantage of today's energy-saving technologies, we could cut our energy use in half. Now, in this house, we use compact fluorescent light bulbs because they take a lot less energy, and they last 10 times longer than a normal bulb, and you can screw these guys right into the lamps that you already have. And if everybody used them, we could save as much as 10,000 barrels of oil a day. 10,000 barrels just for doing something as simple as changing a light bulb. Think of the difference that we can make as individuals, and this is something that people are doing in their own homes. But what about our national policy? What are we doing on a political level as a country?
Yes, how are you? Good to see you.
Tim Worth, United States Senator from Colorado, has co-authored the Tire Recycling Incentives Act. He came to the house to see how we were using tires. Well, what do the tires look like? And we don't have any example except she left this open like this so you can see. So I asked him about politics and the environment.
First of all, I think the most important thing that happened was the end of the Cold War. You know, the Cold War is over. We no longer have to focus on the Soviet Union and the war threat as our #1 problem. And now people are understanding that our national security is defined by our relationship to the environment. It's not what we're going to do to the Russians, it's what we're doing to ourselves by the environment. That's catching on very, very quickly. And as that catches on, you're seeing members of Congress listening to their constituents. We have Earth Day, you got kids, particularly young people, who are just adamant about this subject. So that's going to change the behavior of members of Congress.
How do you see the future of the world, the potential of it?
Well, I think we have ahead of us a very, very crucial decade. That if we are not able to change our institutions and change our environmental behavior in the next 10 years, by the time we get to the 21st century, we're going to be in severe trouble. We will have lost a lot of the rainforest. We will have a population that's grown very dramatically. Our water supplies are going to be down. We're going to have even more pesticides in the food chain. This is the crucial decade. And if we don't understand that, and if we don't approach it with a sense of urgency, we're not going to have the impact in this decade that we want to have. But on the other hand, if we mobilize our resources, you know, I wouldn't be in the business that I'm in if I weren't optimistic, and I think we can mobilize people's resources. People want to know what to do, they want to act, and I think that together we can make a tremendous difference.
You know, politics and business, both, must play an essential role in the solution of our environmental problems. We have the ability, with our voting and our purchasing power, to demand from our businesses and our governments ecologically sound products and policies. Ultimately, however, the responsibility lies with each of us. Try to spend some time with your family. Look around your house. There's a lot of things you can do to help save our environment. Just remember the 3 R's. And I'm not talking about reading, writing, and arithmetic. I'm talking about reducing, reusing, and recycling. Find out if there's a recycling center in your area, and if there is, use it. If there isn't, get on the stump. Write to your local representative and demand that one be started. Remember these stairs? Built out of cans. Ever use paper cups, paper towels? Well, why not use a glass or a dishcloth, something you can reuse over and over again? Save some trees. And if you have to use paper, try to use recycled paper. Now, almost all of the wood that you see in this house has come from beetle-killed dead-standing lumber. In other words, not cut from live trees. Remember, reduce, reuse, recycle. That's what it's all about. You know, when Jerry and I built this home, it was our hope that our children, our grandchildren, great-grandchildren, and even their children would also enjoy it. But the way things are heading, I don't know. We have one Earth, one home that we all share, and it has miraculously provided us with everything that we need to survive. Clean air, pure water, nutritious food, a livable environment. But right now, we are destroying that environment. We're destroying the home that we all share. Now, that doesn't make sense to me. None of us would run around our house and pollute our air or poison our water or destroy our food supply, and yet that is what we are doing to our one home, our common home, this Earth. But it doesn't have to be that way. We can all make a contribution. We can all help to save this planet. And I hope that this program has showed some alternatives that are available. And I hope that you will consider our future and what you can do to help us to ensure that we have an Earth that sustains happy, productive, and creative life for generations and generations to come.